Gotta have a little demonstration. Yeah. My neighbor's watching me. Hey there, YouTubers. Digger coming at you with yet another party bus update. The Kut-N-Loose bus number 2. Now that I got the first one fixed and it has returned to its owners, he dropped off this one to have me put a new floor in. So let's show you what I'm in for. Now, as you can tell, this was already messed up a little bit, so I kind of already kicked that up. Started to take the screws out of the pole because we got to take that pole all the way out. But now he did just go around and touch up the paint on this, so you can see some overspray around here. But because they must have just had people bringing coolers in here and smacking them around, because those were all chipped up the other day. That's held up pretty decent. Still looks about the same way as it did when I got done building it. So I'll get this floor ripped out of here. First I gotta get that pole out, and then finish ripping up the whole floor, take a couple of the baseboard pieces out, and I'll go up and get the materials today, but I'm actually gonna lay the floor tomorrow. So the next part of this video that you see will be me installing the floor. So I guess I could time lapse this a little bit, but who knows? We'll see. So one of the first things I have to do is take these stacks out, if I can remember how it's all put in there. I believe I can just take out 3 screws here and drop this whole thing down. Okay, maybe not. Okay, let's go to the other screws. Oh yeah, I can feel that. Okay, so now that the stacks drop down, I've already got the screws loose out of the bottom. So hopefully this will just kick off. One screw loaded up. There's that out of the way. Put this camera down. We can delete this part in editing. Alright, so I'm just going to take this and lay it up here out of the way carefully for a little bit. We'll put all new screws in that. Because of the way they, I guess they had a lot of alcohol spilled on the floor, but that rusts up screws pretty quick. So I will not reuse any of the screws that just came out of that, top or bottom. I'll put it on all new. That way he won't have to worry about those screws breaking on him later on. Alright, so I guess I'll show you a little bit of ripping up the floor here. See if I can set the camera up. These are pretty easy to rip up. Okay, that one goes up under the baseboard. I installed these like a year ago, so I don't remember exactly how it all goes together, but I know how to take it apart. Oh yeah, now that floor's out of the way, we can see you can see the rings where alcohol sat for a long time. And it's still wet and slick now. So I'll get the rest of this flooring out of here. Tell you what, it's hot out here. But I'll get the rest of the floor out of here, take off whatever baseboard trim and everything I need to. Let this thing dry out for tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll start laying the floor. So we'll see you then. Alright, Digger coming at you with another little flooring update. We are getting ready to lay the new floor. That's the old stuff. We've got some new stuff. I got definitely got enough of that. So now that everything's dried out, we're going to start laying a new floor. So if you want to see how I lay a floor, stick around. So everybody, just the way I always do my floors, I'm going to start in this, it's the back right corner, which in this job it's the front left corner. So starting in the back of the bus, put it that way. So we'll grab the first piece, put it down, and then start locking them in. We'll kind of go sideways and backwards at the same time because it just makes everything a lot easier. So time to get started. It's also essential that you pay attention to where your where all your locks and everything are, because every piece has to be put in the same way. Try and tuck this up underneath the baseboard a little bit. So that's the first piece. Now, as I make the next pieces that go across, each one will be cut. I'll cut, you know, random lengths off of and everything. That way, when all the planks are together and everything, you don't want the seams to be straight across. So you have to offset the first boards, you know, with the longest and then a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter as you go across. That way, all of your seams are offset and it looks like an actual wooden floor. Alright, so the very first thing you want to do here is start in my case, it's the lower or rear. First thing you want to do is start back here in the corner. Now, I am starting from the rear passenger side, which to me, in this case, is the top left. So I'm going to start here, and I'll put a full-size board down first, and then the second board, I've actually cut off a certain amount from the top, because when you lay all these out, you don't want your seam lines to be straight in line. So each board on these starter boards going across, each one has to be cut a little bit shorter than the previous one. That way you get that offset seam and it looks like a real hardwood floor. So I've got two of them started. I'll lay out a third. I'll cut a chunk off the top of it and we'll show you how that's starting to look. Be right back. Alright, so I've got a third one cut. Just gonna come in here and snap this in. Alright, so right here you can tell that each one of my boards is staggered, and the next one will be up here, the next one will be up there, so all those seams end up lining up correctly so it looks like a natural floor. So I'll grab another one, get another one cut. Something I'm going to tell you again is to watch your edges, because these are directional. So, you know, you want to make sure that when you're cutting something off that you don't have it on backwards, because that just kind of screws up. It ruins the plank. It makes you where you have to use the plank elsewhere. So, okay, so we'll cut this one off about right here. I'll be right back. Now this stuff is very easy to cut. We just use a regular circular saw on it. I just got a wood blade in it and everything, so. Alright, let's see. Okay, so I This is the first one I kind of goofed a little bit. I just didn't cut it long enough. I got my pieces backwards. Or no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Sorry about that. Trying to come up with a decent place to put the darn camera or the microphone. Hanging on my shirt. It's just a little bit too heavy, so it tends to fall off. I like it on my glasses, but actually no, I did cut that wrong. Yep. So this piece we're going to put back for use on the other end. Anytime you goof up a piece, don't throw it away. It's still usable. It just depends on where you're at in the game. So let me grab another piece and get another piece cut. Also, anytime you cut these with the circular saw, make sure you wipe off all the debris, all that little plastic stuff. It just sticks to everything due to static electricity, and that's not something you really want. Guess this is one of those do as I say, not as I do things. Alright, so we got the next piece cut. All we have to do now is, this one is the wrong piece, this one's for the back. So grab another one. Get that right there. Once I get these first initial cuts made, the rest is going to be pretty quick, you'll see. Tell you what we're going to do. I feel like I'm getting a little too short too quick up here because the next two pieces have to go up in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate these back here. I'm going to gap this out, and I'm going to cut another board back here for this one. Goes like that. Flip it. Grab a roundabout middle place. Go cut this. Now we'll just snap this one in place. Snap these into each one of these. Alright, so I need another short one back here at this end. Sometimes the old eyeballs aren't as good as they used to be. Alright, so I've got these are the pieces that used to be down here, and if my calculations are correct, I ought to be able to snap this right back in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up because there's nothing wrong with it. Didn't get broke or anything like that. So since it should be the right size, I'm just checking that. A little wide, but I can always cut it down. Either that, or I can go back over here and double check to see if is this piece under the border, or should I remove the border to put that in. So I think I'll look at doing that. Gotta go get my cordless screwdriver though. I'll be back. All right, so we're starting on the floor, and here's what I've done so far. We started in this corner, and then each board that we put in, we have to cut a little bit off of it, because if you don't, those seams going straight across will end up pulling up and just looking bad. So this is the way you got to start. Do that, offset all of them, and now I can now it gets fast because that's kind of like the hard part, is the beginning and the end. So we'll show you what happens at the end later. But basically we're going to floor, we used to have a seam right here, and then you can tell that this floor is still that floor that I put down over a year ago. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the new floor down on this, and it's going to cover right over top of this, because right now these are even, and that's why I put in that transition board a year ago. So now that we've got this built up, then, you know, I can just floor over that and make it all in one solid piece rather than having a seam in the middle. So now I'm gonna, that is one box. So we're gotta open a second box and we'll get started, and I'll time lapse that for you. So now that I've got those down there and started, now we can actually start just laying the planks. This is where it gets a little bit more fun and easy, but you have to make sure you lock your pieces in. I need my mallet. Wham! Went and got my mallet. So now we just have to make sure to lock these corners in. Sometimes you gotta fidget with them, play with them a little bit to get them to lock in just right, but definitely be able to tell when they go in. Good idea to sweep all of this floor before you start putting your stuff in, and making sure that the debris from cutting these doesn't get in your way. Just have to come to the back end and tap, tap, tap. Right here, what I'm going to show you is how I tap it at the back end to get this gap to close up. Just lightly tap it at the back side until it gets up in there just enough. Tap that down in there, and that's about it. These locked in on the sides first. Slide it up. Just about touches that. Next piece, drop it in. I always run my fingernails back in here on the bottoms just to be able to tell that it definitely went in there, right? Tapping on it, you can feel the difference to know when it locks in. start these. I get it started in this channel first. Get that started all the way down. Got to do it down the whole side of the plank. And once you get this part seated, then you slide it up to where it just about touches that one. Like I said, I run my fingernails along this way because you can tell if there's a gap that you're bringing out. And lightly tap this up into its spot. Still got more to go. There's how that ends up looking. So if we come back here and look, you can see that those seams are all offset, and that will continue all the way out until we get to the end. So I'll get back to it and show you guys what's going on. These first pieces that you start, they're a little weird because the only thing you have to line up on is this part right here. So it's a little odd to get that one started. Plus you have to make sure that this one is in line with this one. Right now it's ready to be locked in, but it's not like that lined up. So we'll just pull that back out a little bit. Much lined up right there. Now you can run your fingernail right in there until you bring the camera a little closer. Okay, so what I'm talking about is when you put your next board up, you need to make sure that these are perfectly aligned. If they're not perfectly aligned, you're going to end up with this next board being like this, and that's just going to give you all up down the road. So make sure you lock this part in first. Make sure that is straight across, and now I can go ahead and add my next board. Alright everybody, so it's the next day, and I've been already out here doing some stuff, but I figured I would show you kind of how I cut this front end in. So let me show you how I do that. Alright, so as you can see, I brought this new wood all the way up. There is no separation line anymore from floor to floor. It's all one piece that runs up. Now you've got this up here where this is a raised step that actually cuts off at an angle. So what we have to do, I'm going to set my circular saw for just right at the thickness of this flooring, and then I'm going to drop the circular saw in here and just zip that straight across, and then we can put the trim on that goes back around it, and pretty much all that's done. So let's get to that. So the first thing I'm going to do is set my blade depth right now. Just want to get it to where it's just right at the bottom. Don't want to cut anything more than what we have to. So let's just drop in and cut this puppy. Ooh, that's hard on my knees. We're getting old. And here we go. Right here, need to go a little bit more. So I'll show you the quick, easy way to do that. This thing is absolutely awesome. This is even with a wiped out dull bit, this thing still rots. nice clean cut from this stuff. So we're going to pop these out of here. So now you can see we've got a nice edge there. And once I come back and I put all the trim back on, all that's going to be good to go. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a few minutes. What we're doing here is just putting the screws back in the trim. Some of that debris out of there. Debris. Final piece, but I need some more screws. Need some more screws. Perfect. That's how you do and put your nice edge back on to the step area. Now a lot of you may be wondering, how do you take care of the edge right here where it goes over? I mean, what I've got left is this right here, and obviously we want to put a nose guard on that and protect that. So what I've done, I've got an oversized board that obviously hangs way over the edge, but I need to trim that down. So I'm going to show you the easiest way that I know of to trim that down. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim that down, put that on there, and then we've got a little nose piece right there that we're going to cover that up with. If you look up here, you can tell that there's a gap up here at the end. So we're going to take care of that, but let me show you how I do that. So now I have this piece locked in, but there's a lot of overhang. So what I'm going to do is I want to take this little special tool. I love this thing. And I'm just going to drop in and follow the edge that's underneath. So let's get that taken care of. Right now I'm shutting that off so I can put my finger up under here. Okay, I am right against the ledge, so I'm good to go. So I just have to trace that all the way down. Every once in a while I'm going to stop and shut that off to make sure, yeah, that blade's hot. Make sure I'm in the right neighborhood down there. Up against it. I tell you, this tool's getting hot up in here, but if you don't have one of these multi-tools, God, you gotta have one. These things are awesome. Yeah, I just gotta clean up this corner up here. Okay, so now we have this trimmed off flush with that. So now all I have to do is attach this to this. I have to figure out, do I want it this way? Do I want it this way? I actually like this a little better. The screws are up top, but this is a flat surface, and this surface over here has a little bit of radius to it. So we'll just mount it right there. I guess I'll get these in there first. Darn screws. Stay, will ya? There's my other screw. Get in your hole. Now I need 6 more screws to mount this down. So I'll go get those. And put my foot up against this just to hold this up there while I start the screws. There's one down. There's a little bit of metal up under there, but the sheet metal screws go right through it. You'll see it raise a little bit and then it sinks back down. As long as it doesn't pop the seams, I don't really care. That screw's got a bad tip on it. Even though the screw has a bad tip on it, doesn't mean you can't use it. Put another screw in there first, pull it back out, and go back in with this one. Problem solved. Alright everybody, so now you can see I've got all this taken care of, and we have a complete new floor put in with the spinning dance pole back in its spot, and it's spinning quite freely. Got all the baseboards back in. So this bus is ready to go. So that is everything for today's little update. In all honesty, this was over a 3-day period, but you know, first day I ripped everything out, let it dry. Second day I laid most of the floor, and then today I came in and finished everything up, baseboards and putting the pole back in and all that kind of stuff. So hope everybody has a happy day. We will catch you on the flip side, and remember, the party starts here. See y'all later. Digger is out. And hey, YouTubers, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button, and maybe even that little ding ding bell thing. That way you get updated and you know what's going on right after I do it. So tune in, there's more to come. The party starts here.